Dear students, in the last class, welcome to the second class of solution. In the last class, I have told you that what is colligative property and what are the different colligative property. As I have told you, colligative property depends only on the number of solute particle present, but not on the solution, not on the properties of the solute. So, we have enlisted 4 colligative property, that is lowering in vapor pressure, elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point and osmosis. In the last class, I have discussed how the lowering in vapor pressure depends only on the number of solute particle present. As the number of solute particle increases, the vapor pressure decreases. What is vapor pressure? Everything I have told you. Today, we will start with elevation of boiling point. Before going to the elevation in boiling point, what is boiling point? Boiling point is the temperature at which the vapor pressure of the solution is equal to the atmospheric pressure. In the 10th class, you have read that what is boiling point is the temperature at which the liquid starts to boil, but here you will know that in terms of vapor pressure, boiling point is the temperature at which the vapor pressure of the solution is equal to the atmospheric pressure. And as I have already told you, when a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, what happens? The vapor pressure decreases. As the vapor pressure decreases, the boiling point increases, because if you suppose you take the example of water, the boiling point of water is 100 degrees centigrade at 1 atmospheric pressure. If you add some sucrose or sugar to it, then what will happen? The boiling point will increase, because if you add some sugar to the water, the vapor pressure will decrease. To make up the vapor pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure, we have to go beyond the boiling point of the solvent. That means, it will be more than 100 degrees centigrade. Now, we will go to that is molecular mass calculation, how it can be done from elevation of boiling point. As I have told you, whenever a non-volatile solute is added, the vapor pressure decreases, the boiling point increases. The boiling point or the elevation in boiling point depends on the number of solute particle present, but not on the properties of the solute particle. As you look into the graph, there is a diagram on the graph. If you look into the graph, the boiling point of the solvent is less than, the pure state is less than that of the solution. Del T B 0 is the vapor pressure, is the boiling point of the solvent, T B is the boiling point of the solution, and the difference between that is called your elevation in boiling point. That means, if you plot a graph between vapor pressure and temperature, you will get this type of curve. That is delta T B is equal to T B minus T B 0. What is T B? T B is the boiling point of the solution and T B 0 is the boiling point of the pure solvent. And from the experiment, it is seen that the elevation in boiling point is directly proportional to the molality of the solution, that is delta T B is proportional to the molality. Molality is m. If delta T B will be equal to, if we will remove the proportionality constant, that will be K B into m. What is K B? K B is your molal elevation constant. K B is molal elevation constant. Molal elevation constant, or we can call it ebullioscopic constant. Ebullioscopic constant. This is ebullioscopic constant. That means, the increase in boiling point is directly proportional to molality, and the increase in boiling point, or what we call it as elevation in boiling point, is equal to K B into m. M is the molality of the solution and K B is the molar elevation constant or ebullioscopic constant. So, molality, as you know, if W2 grams of a solute is present in, W2 grams of solute is present in, if W2 grams of solute is a solute of molar mass M2 is present in W1 grams of solvent, then the molality will be M will be equal to W2 by M2 divided by W1 divided by 1000. So, putting this value in the expression, we will have delta Tb will be equal to, putting this expression for the elevation in boiling point, that is delta Tb will be equal to Kb into M, that is Kb into W2 by M2 divided by W1 by 1000. Then we will have delta Tb will be equal to Kb into W2 into 1000 divided by W1 into M2. So, this is the elevation in boiling point. This is the elevation in boiling point. From this expression, we can calculate what is the molecular mass of the solute. Then M2 will be equal to, how can you calculate M2? The numerical will be asked in the examination, that is M2 will be equal to Kb W2 into 1000 divided by delta Tb into W1. If you know Kb will be given constant for a particular solvent, W2 the mass of the solute given, the delta Tb will be determined from experimentally, that is elevation in boiling point, and W1 is the mass of the solvent is taken. So, you can calculate what is the molar mass of the solute, what is the molar mass of the solute. Now, we will go for a numericals. So, question number 1 is 18 gram of glucose is dissolved in 1 kg of water in a saucepan. What is the data given? The W2 is 18 gram of glucose, and molecular mass of glucose, as you know, molecular mass of glucose is equal to C6H12O6, 180 gram, and the mass of the solvent is, 1 kg, mass of the solvent is 1 kg, that is W1 is equal to 1 kg. Then we have to calculate, then Kb is also given, Kb is equal to, the unit of Kb is equal to 0.52 Kelvin into kg per mole. These are the data given. You have to calculate what is the molecular mass, what is the elevation in boiling point. I think the question asks at what temperature will water boil, boiling point we will have to find out what is Tb, what is delta Tb. First we will have calculate what is delta Tb, then Tb. These are the data given. You have the formula, just put the formula, what will be delta Tb, delta Tb will be equal to your Kb into W2 into 1000 divided by, we have your M2 into W1. You put the value Kb is 0.52, delta W2 is equal to your 18 gram into 1000 divided by delta T, this is M2, M2 is 180, then your W1 is 1 gram. So, from this you 1 kg, from this you can calculate, this one will be 10. So, we will calculate what is the increase in, what is the 0.52 into 1000 divided by. So, that will give you delta Tb. From this delta Tb you can calculate what is the boil delta Tb plus Tb0, Tb0 is 100, Tb0 plus delta Tb will give you Tb, boiling point of the solution. So, this is the way how can calculate the elevation in boiling point, how can calculate the elevation in boiling point. Now, we will go to another numerical is there. This is the way how we will calculate delta Tb, then add into the boiling point of the pure solvent, water is 100 degree centigrade, then you can find out what is the your boiling. Then the second numerical is the boiling point of benzene is 353.23. Here boiling point is given of benzene 353.23 Kelvin, this is given. Then the mass of the solute is 1.08 gram, mass of the solute taken is 1.08 gram, this is the mass is given, W2 is given. Then for the dissolved in 90 gram of benzene, that is W1 is 90 gram of benzene. This is benzene. Benzene is the solvent. Benzene is given. Then Kb is also given. Kb is 2.53 K. Kb is 2.53 Kelvin kg. As I have told you, this is the unit of the molar elevation constant. These are the data given. So, from this you will calculate. From this you will calculate what is the molar mass of the solute. The formula is also given. The formula is M2 is written here in the top for your information. M2 will be equal to Kb into W2 into 1000 divided by delta Tb into W1. Another thing is also given, what is the boiling point of the solution, 354.11. Delta Tb, that is Tb is equal to 354.11 Kelvin. These things is given. From this you can calculate what is delta Tb. The delta Tb will be equal to Tb minus Tb0. So, what is Tb? 354.11 minus 353.23. That will be equal to 8 and 8. This is 0.88 Kelvin. The delta Tb is 0.88 Kelvin. Tb minus Tb0. So, we will find out. Then this is Kb is 2.53 into W2 is given. W2 is 1.08 into 1000 divided by delta Tb is 0.88 into that is W1. W1 is equal to your 90. So, from this you can calculate what is the molecular mass of the solute. So, if you know Tb, Tb0 and your delta Tb can be calculated. From the delta Tb and the W2, W1 will be given. So, from that you can calculate what is the molecular mass. You can carry out the mathematical portion of this equation. So, now we will go to another colligative property. The second colligative property is your depression in freezing point. What is freezing point? Depression in freezing point. The depression, before going to the depression in freezing point, let me tell you what is freezing point. As you know in the class 10, freezing point is the temperature at which the liquid get converted into solid, but in here in this case you will know that what is the freezing point. Freezing point is the temperature at which the vapor pressure of the substance in its liquid phase as well as in the vapor phase as well as in the solid phase are same. The vapor pressure of both liquid phase and the solid phase will be same. That is, the liquid and solid phase will be in equilibrium, dynamic equilibrium with each other. They will be in dynamic equilibrium with each other. As you know, this depression in freezing point is also a colligative property. How it is a colligative property? I have told you that when a non-volatile solute is added to a solvent, what happens? The vapor pressure decreases. As the vapor pressure decreases, the freezing point is also decreases. The freezing point also decreases. For example, the freezing point of water is 0 degree centigrade. If you add some sodium chloride to it, what will happen? The freezing point will go below 0 degree centigrade. 0 degree centigrade will not be the freezing point of the water when sodium chloride is present in. That is, the depression in freezing point also depends on the number of solute particle present, like elevation in boiling point. Depression in freezing point, the second colligative property, this is the third one, depression in freezing point. What I have already told you what is freezing point, how the freezing point of the solution depends on the number of solute particle present in the solution. So, depression in freezing point is a colligative properties. Depression in freezing point, when a non-volatile solute is added to a solvent, the vapor pressure decreases. As the vapor pressure decreases, the freezing point also decreases. That is, if you look into the graph, say graph, you look into the graph, in the graph you will find that two curves are there. one is the pure liquid solvent and the other is solution. You will see from the graph, if you plot, the plot is between vapor pressure and temperature. If you look into the graph, you will see that the solution freezes at a lower temperature than the pure solvent. You just T0F is the freezing point of the pure solvent and Tf is the freezing point of the solution, and the difference between two is called your depression in freezing point. It is called your depression in freezing point, that is delta Tf. Tf is the freezing point of solution, Tf0 freezing point of solvent in the pure state, and delta Tf is equal to Tf minus Tf0. That means, when your non-volatile solute is added to a solvent, the freezing point decreases, and the decrease in freezing point depends only on the number of solute particle present. So, it is a colligative property, it does not depend on the properties of the solute present in the solutions. Delta Tf is also like vapor pressure and elevation in boiling point is directly proportional to the molality of the solution, that is delta Tf is directly proportional to the molality, which will be equal to your Kf into m. What is Kf? Kf is molal depression constant, or it is also called, that is your karyoscopic constant. It is a constant quantity for a particular solvent. It is a constant quantity. It depends only on the nature of the solvent, not on any other factor. Its unit is Kelvin into kg into mole inverse. We know that what is molality of the solution? The molality, if W2 grams of solute, if you have W2 grams of solute present in W1 grams of solvent, W2 grams of solute of molecular mass or molar mass M2 present in W1 grams of solvent, then we will have molality will be M will be equal to W2 by M2 divided by W1 1000. This is the molality of the solution, that is weight of the solute divided by molar mass, that is divided by weight of the solvent into 1000. So, what will be, if you put the value of this molality, then delta Tf will be equal to Kf into W2 by M2 divided by W1 by 1000. So, that will be equal to Kf W2 into 1000 divided by W1 into M2. By this, you can calculate the depression in freezing point. You can calculate what will be the decrease in the freezing point of the solution, what will be the decrease in the freezing point of the solutions. So, you can also calculate what is the molar mass. Molar mass M2 will be equal to Kf into W2 into 1000 divided by delta Tf into W1, delta Tf into Kf will be given for a particular solvent, it is a constant, and your W2 is the weight of the solute taken, W1 is the weight of the solvent, delta Tf will be determined from the experiment, and you can calculate what is the molar mass of the solution. Now, we will go to a numerical on this. Before going to the numerical, let me tell you how the Kf and Kv will be determined, The Kf and Kv is thermodynamically determined. Kf is equal to R into M1 into Tf0 divided by 1000 into delta into H. Similarly, Kb will be molar elevation constant will be R into M1 into Tb0 1000 into delta vapor H. This one is square, where R is universal gas constant, R is gas constant, M1 mass, molar mass of solvent, that means if you know the gas constant R and M1, that is molar mass of the solvent, is known to you, then the freezing point of the pure solvent is known to you. Delta fusion, that is delta H fusion, means that is the enthalpy of fusion, then you can calculate what is Kf. Similarly, by knowing R, M1, Tb and the enthalpy of vaporization, you can calculate what is Kv. Now, we will go for a numericals of this. Very often in the examination, this numerical will be asked. The numerical will come in the examination carrying 2 to 3 marks. So, the first one is 45 grams of ethylene glycol is mixed with 600 gram of water. Then W, what are the data given? W2 is equal to 45 gram of ethylene glycol. What is the molecular mass of ethylene? We will find out, M2. Then W1 is 600 gram. Kf is equal to 1.86, I think 1.86. Now, we will apply this to calculate what is the depression in freezing point. Depression in ethylene glycol, that is C, ethylene glycol, the ethylene glycol C2H6O2, ethylene glycol C2H6O2. So, you find out molecular mass 2 into 12 plus 6 plus 32, that will be equal to 24 plus 6 plus 32, it will be 62. Then what is the formula? Delta Tf is equal to Kf into W2 into 1000 divided by your W1 into M2. So, that will be equal to Kf is 1.86 into W2 is equal to your 45 gram into 1000 divided by W1 is your 600 into your M2 is 62. From this you can calculate what is the delta Tf. By calculating delta Tf, you can find out what is the Tf, that is Tf is equal to T0f plus delta Tf. Second bit, answer for the second bit, you can find out delta Tf from here by doing simple mathematics, arithmetic, then you put that value on this, you will get the what is the freezing point of the solution. We will go for the second numerical, the second one. The second one is 1 gram of non-electrolyte solute dissolved in 50 gram of benzene, lower the freezing point of the benzene by 0.4 kV. Freezing point depression constant of benzene is 5.12. Then what is the molar mass of the solute? Very simple, same question, same equation, only you have to find out what is the molecular mass of the solute. What are the data given? W2 is given. Question number 2, W2 is given, it is 1 gram. W1 also given, W1 is 50 gram, W1 is 50 gram. We have to find out what is M2. The Kf is given, Kf is equal to 5.12, this is 5.12 Kelvin into kg into mole inverse. Then elevation depression in freezing point delta F is given 0.40 Kelvin. Then you find out what is the molecular molar mass. What is the formula for molar mass? The molar mass M2 will be equal to Kf into W1 W2 into 1000 divided by W1 into delta Tf. Everything is given, you just put the value here. This is Kf is your 5.12, then W2 is your 1 into 1000 divided by W1 is 50 gram into delta Tf is 0.40. So, you will calculate what is the molecular mass of this. So, I have told you depression in freezing point. This depression in freezing point plays major role in the ice cold country. In the ice cold country, the vehicular radiator water get freeze because the temperature is sub-zero, always it is less than 0 degree centigrade. If you take water in the radiator of the motorbike or motor car, then what will happen? It will freeze. So, in order to avoid the freezing of the antifreeze reagent is given in water, that is generally ethylene glycol is added to the water in the radiator, so that it will not freeze without and it will not harm the vehicles. So, depression in freezing point is also plays an important role in ice cream. We have the fusion mixture. Fusion mixture is ice and sodium chloride. When ice mixed with sodium chloride, the freezing point decreases, and this mixture is used for preparation of ice cream, so that the temperature can be up to minus 33 degree centigrade. The minus 33 degree centigrade temperature achievable if it is a fusion mixture. So, this is all about the depression in freezing point. Now, we will go to the fourth and the last osmotic properties of our course, that is osmosis. What is osmosis? Osmosis is a spontaneous flow of the solvent molecules towards the solution side from lower concentration to higher concentration region when both are separated by a semi permeable membrane. That is, the solvent molecule and the solution when separated by a semi permeable membrane, the solvent molecule will automatically, that is spontaneously, will start flowing towards the solution side. This is called osmosis. So, in order to explain or to illustrate what is osmosis, I will give you a very interesting example. That is, you take two eggs and put in HCl. You will take two eggs. I will give you a very simple example to illustrate the osmosis. You take two eggs and dip in dilute HCl. If you dip in dilute HCl, what will happen? Now, the hard shell of calcium carbonate that will get dissolved. The hard shell of the egg is calcium carbonate. When it will come in contact with dilute HCl, that will get dissolved to produce calcium chloride and water plus carbon dioxide. So, the hard shell will get dissolved. When the hard shell will get dissolved, you will find with a very small, very thin, that is called a parchment membrane or semi permeable membrane, inside which you will get the egg yolk and the white material. The egg must be of same size. Then you put these two eggs, one in dilute sodium chloride solution, dilute sodium chloride solution. Suppose this is the sodium chloride solution, and the other in simple water. One egg in water and the other in the one egg in water, the other in your H sodium chloride. The egg which is present after a stipulated time, not that immediately, you take some time, after some time what you will find? The egg which is present in water will start swelling, the egg and the water will start swelling, the size will increase, and that present in sodium chloride, the size will decrease. This is because in case of sodium chloride, the water will come out of this egg. The water content of the egg will come out of the egg, so that the size will shrink, because the water will flow to the solvent through the semi permeable membrane. This is osmosis. And in the second, water will go into the egg, so that the size will swell. This is the very simple example to illustrate the process osmosis. Now, how to check? Suppose I will take another solvent. I will take another solvent. Suppose you have a vessel like this. Another example you can take of osmosis. This is the vessel. We have a semi permeable membrane here. This is the semi permeable membrane. On this side we have taken water, and this side you take potassium permanganate, which is pink in color, potassium permanganate solution. This is pink in color. You will leave it for some time, you will find that what will happen, the solvent molecule will come to the solution side, this water molecule will come to the solution side, the level of this will get increased, the level will increase on the potassium permanganate solution side, the level will increase, which will indicate that the water molecule rushed from the solvent towards the potassium permanganate. This is called osmosis. If you want to check this osmosis, suppose you want to check this, the flow must be checked. If you want to check this flow, you put a piston here and exert certain pressure. That pressure is called your osmotic pressure. Then what is osmotic pressure? Osmotic pressure is the excess pressure which must be exerted on the solution side so as to prevent the flow of solvent molecule towards the solution side when both are separated by a semi permeable membrane. That is osmosis. The pressure required to check this flow towards the solution side is called your osmotic pressure. The osmotic pressure, like elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point, and your lowering of vapor pressure is also a colligative property. That is, it depends on the number of solute particles present in the system, number of solute particles present in the, it also depends on the molarity of the solution. So, Van 't Hoff gave a law, that is called Van 't Hoff law. Van 't Hoff gave a law, that is called Van 't Hoff law of the solution. Van 't Hoff gave a law, that is called Van 't Hoff regarding the osmotic pressure. So, what is that? Van 't Hoff's Boyle's Van, it is three laws are there. One is Boyle's Van 't Hoff law, Boyle's Van 't Hoff law. What is Boyle's Van 't Hoff law? Now, the osmotic pressure of a solution is directly proportional to the concentration of the solution in moles per liter. That is, the osmotic pressure of a solution, osmotic pressure of a solution is directly proportional to the concentration of the solution in moles per liter, concentration of the solution in moles per liter. If C is the concentration, you can write constant solution in moles at constant temperature, because temperature must be constant. So, that is pi is directly proportional to C, concentration. Let me tell you again, the osmotic pressure of a solution is directly proportional to the concentration of the solution in moles per liter at constant temperature. If C is the concentration in moles per liter, then pi is directly proportional to C. If n moles of solute is present in V liter, then pi is directly proportional to n by V, pi is directly proportional to n by V. If n is equal to 1, if you take 1 mole, n is equal to 1, then pi is proportional to 1 by V, or pi V is equal to constant, pi V is equal to constant, like P V is equal to constant, like Boyle's law is P V is equal to constant. Similarly, this Boyle Van 't Hoff law, pi V is equal to constant, phi is the osmotic pressure, V is the volume of the solution in liter containing 1 mole of the solute. Now, we will go to another Van 't Hoff's law, that is Gay-Lussac Van 't Hoff law. Gay-Lussac, or in some book you will find that this is Charles Van 't Hoff law, actually it is Gay-Lussac Van 't Hoff law. Gay-Lussac Van 't Hoff law. The osmotic pressure of the solution, what the law states? The osmotic pressure of the solution of given concentration, the osmotic pressure of a solution of given concentration is directly proportional to the absolute temperature or temperature in Kelvin scales. So, osmotic pressure of a solution, osmotic pressure of a solution of given concentration, is directly proportional to absolute temperature. That is phi is directly proportional to T. T is the temperature in absolute scale, pi is directly proportional to T. So, pi by T is equal to constant. As you look into V by T is equal to constant, Charles law, or you can have P by T is equal to constant, Gay-Lussac law. So, this is similar to, the law is similar to the Gay-Lussac law, which states that the pressure of the gas is directly proportional to the absolute temperature when volume is constant. Here the concentration is constant, pi is directly proportional to T. So, pi by T is equal to constant. In some books it is Charles Van 't Hoff law, or it is Gay-Lussac Van 't Hoff's law. So, now combining these two laws, we will have Van 't Hoff's theory of dilute solution. We have Van 't Hoff theory of dilute solution. By combining these two laws, we will derive another law, that is your Van 't Hoff theory of dilute solution. According to Boyle-Van 't Hoff law, we have, according to Boyle-Van 't Hoff, we have pi is proportional to C when T is constant. Then from Gay-Lussac Van 't Hoff law, pi is proportional to T. Now, combining these two, will have pi is proportional to Ct, phi is proportional to Ct, pi is equal to CRT, pi is equal to CRT. What is R? R is a proportionality constant similar to that of the gas constant. Gas constant, like gas constant, here is also it is a solution constant. The value is same, 0.083. The value is 0. R is solution constant similar to gas constant. That is 0.083, you know, 0.083 liter atmosphere per. So, this law, Boyle-Van 't Hoff's law, Charles Van 't Hoff's law, Van 't Hoff very often comes in the examination as a 6-mark questions. So, this year will have a lot of multiple questions. You have 35 short questions will come, multiple choice questions will come. So, you will get a number of questions from this Boyle-Van 't Hoff and osmosis, osmotic pressure and so on. So, pi is equal to CRT. If n moles of solute is present in V liter, then pi will be equal to n by V into RT. You can write n by V RT. If W2 grams of solute, of molar mass M2, then N will be equal to W2 by M2. M is equal to W2 by M2, and the equation changes to phi V will be equal to W2 by M2 into RT. You look into this equation, this one, pi is equal to n by V RT. V is constant, volume is taken, R is the universal gas constant, T is absolute 0. So, pi is directly proportional to the number of solute particles present in the system. So, it is a colligative property, and from this you can calculate pi also. Pi, the osmotic pressure, can be calculated if you divide this one. Pi will be equal to W2 by M2 into V into RT. So, pi can be calculated, another osmotic pressure. From this you can also calculate what is the molecular mass. M2 will be equal to W2 by pi V into RT. So, if you know weight of the solute, the osmotic pressure from the experiment, V volume of the solution is given, R is the universal gas constant, is always constant, T is absolute 0, then you can calculate what is the molar mass of the solute. Thus, this is the Boyle-Van't law. We can have a numerical on this also. Suppose 200 cc of an aqueous solution of protein contain 1.26 gram of protein. The osmotic pressure of such solution 300 is found to be 2.57 10 to the power minus 3. So, calculate the molar mass, everything is given. Volume V is 300 milliliter, 200 milliliter, the numerical volume V is equal to 200 milliliter, volume V is 200 milliliter, then W2 is equal to 1 gram, W2 is equal to 1.26, W2 is 1.26, the osmotic pressure is given, osmotic pressure is 2.57 into 10 to the power minus 3 bar, 2.57 10 to the power minus 3 bar, and the temperature is given 300 Kelvin. So, now you put all these values here on this expression. So, what is M2? M2 will be equal to W2 by pi V into RT. What is W2? W2 is equal to your 1.26, then pi is given 2.57 10 to the power minus 3, then your V is 200 milliliter, you make it to liter, 200 by 1000, you have to make it to liter. Then R is universal gas constant 0.083, this is 0.083, then T is 300. So, from this you can calculate what is the molar mass of the solute. This is the way to calculate molar mass. R is equal to your 0.083 liter atmosphere per Kelvin per mole. So, while doing a numericals, you must look into what is given, whether it is given in milliliter or liter, whether it is given in gram or milligram. If it is given in milligram, you convert into gram. If it is in milliliter, you convert to liters. Temperature very often given in degree centigrade. So, you will convert into Kelvin by adding 273. Then pressure is in bar or atmosphere, the same thing. So, you will calculate the numericals in this way. So, this is your osmosis. The another term is there, isotonic solution. This is very often asked in the examination. What is isotonic solution? What is isotonic solution? Isotonic solution means the solution, both the if two solutions have the same osmotic pressure at a constant temperature, then they are isotonic. If the two solutions have same osmotic pressure at a given temperature, then they are called isotonic, same osmotic pressure. Sometimes a question asks, isotonic solution means what? So, same osmotic pressure, same vapor pressure, same something will be, MCQ will be given. So, I will have same osmotic pressure. Now, what is reverse osmosis? We will go for the another term is a reverse osmosis. What is reverse osmosis? So, if suppose this is the what I have given in the first while expressing what is osmosis. So, this diagram is given. Suppose this side it is the a semi permeable membrane, and this side is solvent, water, and this side is your sodium chloride, suppose sodium chloride solution. The water will go to this side, which you have called it as osmotic pressure. So, if you will exert pressure on this side, then what will happen? The flow will stop, the water will not go into the sodium chloride side. So, if you will increase the pressure, suppose you will increase the pressure, what will happen? The direction of this flow of water will change. The water will start flowing from the solution of sodium chloride to water, that is called reverse osmosis. In reverse osmosis, what happens? The solvent molecule will flow from the solution side to the solvent side. So, this is a very fine application in desalination of water. Desalination, that means, suppose if the water will go on this side, we will get sodium chloride only, this is pure water. Sea water can make the fresh water by this process, by reverse osmosis process. This is called reverse osmosis. Now, we will go for another numerical, the last one of this session, that is calculate the osmotic pressure. You have to calculate the, this is reverse osmosis, the flow of solvent molecule from the solution side towards the solvent side, when the pressure is greater than the osmotic pressure is applied on the solution side, that is a reverse osmosis. Now, a numerical, the last one of this chapter, that is calculate the osmotic pressure of the solution. The dissolving 1 gram of the polymer having molecular mass 18500, that is W2 is 1 gram. You can look into this numerical given in the slide. So, M2 is 185,000 molecular mass, W1 is, what is the weight of the solvent? Volume of the solution is 450 milliliter, volume of the solution is 450 milliliter, and temperature is given. What is the temperature? 37 degrees centigrade. The temperature is 37 degrees centigrade. As I have told you, you convert this one into Kelvin, 37 plus 273, that will be equal to 310 Kelvin, 310 Kelvin. Then change the volume into liter, 450 by 1000. You put all the value in the expression, pi is equal to W2 into R into T divided by M2V. So, W2 is equal to your 1 gram, then R is 0.083, a constant quantity, T is 310, then divided by M2, M2 is your 450, that is M2 is your 1,85,000 into V is your 450 by 1000. So, by putting all this value, you can calculate what is the osmotic pressure of the solution, that will give you the osmotic pressure of the solution. Now, we will go to, we have discussed 4 colligative property, that is your lowering in vapor pressure, elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point, and the osmosis. From all these colligative property measurement, we can calculate the what is the molecular mass of the solute. I have written M2 is equal to W2 RT pi V. Similarly, I have given you how to calculate the molecular mass of the solute by using the elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point, and the lowering in vapor pressure. In all these cases, the molecular mass obtained, consider there is no association or dissociation of the solute particle takes place. If there will be dissociation of the solute particle takes place, then what will happen? You just look into what I am saying. That is, suppose you have taken sodium chloride, 1 mole of sodium chloride in water. You have taken 1 mole of sodium chloride in water. Suppose you have taken 1 mole of sodium chloride on this. If you take 1 mole of sodium chloride, that will dissociate to produce 1 mole of Na plus and 1 mole of Cl minus. So, that will be 2 mole of particles. And you know that the colligative property depends on the number of solute particles present in the solutions. As the number of solute particle present, the colligative property will increase. As the colligative property increase, the molecular mass is inversely proportional to the colligative property. So, what will happen? The molecular mass will become half. Suppose M2 will be equal to W2 RT by pi V. So, if pi will increase, become double, then the molecular mass will become half. Suppose in case of sodium chloride, the molecular mass is 58.5, you will get it is 29.25 or something like that. So, the molecular mass determined by the colligative property measurement become exactly half. If you take acetic acid, suppose you will take acetic acid. So, what will happen to this? If you take acetic acid, that will get dimerized, associate with each other. Suppose if you take ethanoic acid or acetic acid, what will happen? Two molecules join together to give one molecule, that is the number of molecule become half. As the number of molecule become half, the colligative pickup property will become double. As the colligative property become double, the molecular mass will become also double. That is, in case of acetic acid, the molecular mass determined by the colligative property measurement will be equal to 120 or something like that. Actually, the mass is 60. So, this change in mass is called abnormal molecular mass. The molecular mass obtained by the colligative property measurement, if dissociation or association taking place, then we call it abnormal molecular mass. To account for this deviation from the molecular mass, Van 't Hoff gave a factor, that is called Van 't Hoff factor. That is called Van 't Hoff factor, or it is denoted by I, Van 't Hoff factor. Van 't Hoff factor is equal to normal molecular mass divided by abnormal molecular mass. Normal molecular mass by abnormal molecular mass. Normal molecular mass is equal to abnormal molecular mass, or that will be equal to your observed colligative property divided by calculative colligative properties, or total number of molecules after association or dissociation is equal to number of molecules before association. So, all this on including this Van 't Hoff factor, inclusion of this Van 't Hoff factor changes the expression for the colligative property. The delta Tv will be equal to I kVm, delta Tf will be equal to I kfm, and pi will be equal to I nt RT by V. The I is the Van 't Hoff factor which will be determined. This is all about your course, all about that is included in your course for the in the solutions. So, dear students, I think you will have clearly understand what is solution, what is vapor pressure, what is Raoult's law, what is Henry's law, and what is your colligative property, what are different colligative property, how the molecular mass can be determined from colligative property, how the molecular mass changes when association and dissociation takes place, and how the inclusion of the Van 't Hoff factor takes place. This is all about. Thank you all.